Let's look at multiplication and helping the children to understand and use multiplication in a meaningful way. So there's a set process, and the first step in the process is to learn the basic facts. You cannot do the multiplication algorithm unless you are confident with the basic facts, so that's where we start. After that, we move on to multiplying two-digit numbers by one-digit numbers, and from there we move to multiplying tens by tens, and last of all, multiplying two-digit numbers by two-digit numbers. So that's our process, and as I said, we'll start with basic facts. So learning the basic facts should be done in a set order, and the order we like to follow, or that George Booker instructs us is the best way to follow, is work first with the 2s, then the 4s, and then the 3s, and after that work on the 5s, 6s, 7s, 8s and 9s. The children learn the basic facts by using arrays. That means using the little discs or counters and setting them out so that they can see what they're doing. We want them to understand. So I urge you to use the arrays as the slides will show you the way to do that. Use those and use them before you fall back on learning tables. Tables don't really have any meaning for many children who struggle with multiplication. By using the arrays, we can give it meaning, and then if we need to, we can move on to learning the tables, because there will be meaning there, and it's just a memory game after that. So, as I said, the slides will show you how arrays are set up and how they work and how you build them up. It takes a while, but it gives meaning, so therefore it's important. So once the basic facts are all learned and the children are confident and competent with them all, then it's time to start introducing the multiplication algorithm. And we start by multiplying two-digit numbers by one-digit numbers, such as 32 multiplied by 7. But before we move on to that process, we need to actually make sure the children understand what happens when we multiply ones by tens. When they did the basic facts, they understand what happens when we multiply ones by ones, but we need to let them find out what happens when you multiply ones by tens. And we have a very handy tool to use for that, and it's a calculator. Any calculator will do. This is a rather large one we got from Aldi, which is fantastic. Kids love playing with this, so as soon as you show them, they're really happy. But what we want the children to understand, and what the calculator is a good tool for, is what happens whenever you multiply a one-digit number, by tens. So the tens are numbers like 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. So we challenge the child and we say, I bet you can't find any tens number that when multiplied by 1 gives an answer in the ones column other than 0. So you show them what that means. So let's look at 70 multiplied by 6. And what do we get in the ones column? We get a 0. Are there any 10 numbers that you can multiply by a one-digit number that won't give that? Here's the calculator. Have a play around. Do as many different 10 numbers as you can by one-digit numbers and see what answer you get. And of course we know that they will always get a 0 in the ones column, because that's what happens when you multiply tens by ones. It's important that the child knows that before they start this process. So we remember that in George Booker's pyramid, his triangular formation of the way to teach maths, we start with meaning, a reason for doing the computation. The next thing we do is develop the language, and last of all we introduce the symbols. Multiplication actually breaks that rule. Using discs, counters, or even the base 10 materials gets too complicated too quickly with multiplication, so we actually use the arrays early on, but once we move to the computation they have to know how to do it just with the symbols. So let's go through the process. 7 ones by 2 ones is 14 ones. Record the 4 ones. And then we rename the 14 ones with 1 10 and put that with the other 10s. 7 ones by 3 10s, as we found with the calculator, is 21 tens. And then there's another 10 as well, so that's 22 tens. Record the 2 tens and rename the 20 tens as 200s. 224. That's the process for doing 2-digit numbers multiplied by a 1-digit number.